Hello and welcome to the episode of Motoring Millies. Today we're checking out a car that I've been dying to review for a very long time. It's the Toyota Highlander Hybrid. Now, why am I interested in a family SUV? Well, to be honest with you, it's a car that we've not been able to get in this market, and I've been asking for years for it to come, and it's finally arrived. Prices are around 153,000 dirhams to about 175,000 dirhams. So two grades, GXR and VXR. This is of course the top of the line version. In other markets they get a V6, but here we get a hybrid version, which is about 250 horsepower, 2.5 litre 4-cylinder engine with two electric motors on either end. So it only comes as all-wheel drive, and of course the usual CVT gearbox putting the power to the wheels. So quite an exciting car, because I think for a lot of people this is the ideal family car. You don't need a big heavy Land Cruiser or a big heavy Prado. You need a Highlander, and I think the Highlander is the answer to a lot of people's questions. So not wasting any time, let's have a look at the design. So what do we think of the looks of the Highlander? Well, I think it's quite a smart looking car. Unfortunately, it's saddled with a bit of a generic design that could be a CX-5 or a Nissan of some sort, but I think it is quite a smart looking car. Let's look at some of the details. This blue badge, of course, denotes that it is a hybrid. You've got a pretty nice grille there with a lot of stuff happening down here, sort of waterfall effect going on. Of course, pretty much all the standard stuff that you'd expect. Nice little power bulge here, which is quite fun because it doesn't really have a big engine. It only has a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder. From the side, it is very generic. This car is built in the US of A, and I think it's pretty nice styling touches. Look at this little flank thing happening here. Basically, it sort of bulges out over these arches. Quite nice, gives it a bit of style. They have chrome trimming around the side. I always like a bit of chrome. I don't mind chrome the way some people do. So I'm recording this after the fact because, of course, the audio went off on my microphone. Anyway, all that you need to know is that this bit right here, this little winglet, actually improves aerodynamics. Breaks up the wind on that side, probably reduces the wind noise. I don't think it makes the car more efficient cutting through the wind. Love those tail lights, quite nice, aren't they? Really quite sleek, even though everybody's using very similar designs for most of their class, from the Japanese, etc. The little badging is not too much, is it? Just simple blue badging, little roof spoiler there. Let's see how long it takes to open the tailgate. And waiting, and getting older. And it's not too bad, not too bad. So what am I going to do next? I'm looking around to see, what am I looking around to see? Oh! Actually, the boot's not too bad, isn't it? Quite a decent sized boot in there. Under there, we've got, of course, the jack and the toolbox. Quite a nice toolbox, actually. We've got two cup holders, some sort of power plug point. Again, the same as you'd expect on the other side. So overall, not too bad. How do you get to those rear seats? Well, you pull them up with this strap. No fancy buttons here. And it flips up, of course, as you'd expect. What's in there? Oh boy, not much leg room, is there? Really not much legroom at all. Let's see what it's like to actually sit in the back. So what's the back seat like? Well, honestly, I would show you how I sit in there, but I can't actually fit in here. It's so tight. It is so tight. The headroom's okay, but the legroom's almost non-existent. Yeah, basically it's kids only, very small kids, and adults that you don't like very much. Let's see what the front's like. So what's it like in the back of the Highlander? Pretty nice, actually. You got a panoramic sunroof letting in lots of light. You've got a rear seat entertainment system. I don't know what it is, but I've never used it. I don't have children. I don't intend to have children. But overall, pretty comfortable. I've got good under-thigh support, lots of headroom, really nice interior materials. I like this wood, brown, white leather combo, perfect leather, can't complain. Of course, an armrest, two cup holders. So in the back, you've got rear automatic climate control, which you definitely can't complain about, can you? And also, you've got two USBs, 2.1 amp USBs all the way down at the bottom. So pretty much everything that you realistically want, isn't it? Let's see what the front's like. So what's the interior like? Well, I quite like the look of it. I love these classic dials. I'm going to start with them first. Two analog gauges bisected by a digital display. And it is quite a decent digital display there. That is, of course, the way the power is being distributed. Right now, it's just running off the battery, literally. And you can swing. Look at that, how nicely animated it is. It's cool, isn't it? Safety systems, you can see which ones are working. They're all working. It's a Toyota. Four-wheel drive distribution. Look at, I love the spinning. I can watch it all day. Tire pressures. It hasn't moved yet, so that's why it does not read in tire pressures. And then if you go up, you've got music. You've got driving support. So basically, which radar cruise control it is. Digital speed. It's all quite nice. You know, I criticize the RAV4 Hybrid for having the same screen but having it too small. They fixed it with this one. It looks pretty good. So on the right, you've got a speedo, and on the left, you've got this power gauge. It basically tells you what the car is doing. Charging, economy, as in best fuel economy mode, or power. It's kind of like a rev counter, but not. Anyway, it's a CVT, so there's no point looking on the left. You've got, of course, water temperature and fuel. And I got to be honest with you, this thing has been really, really good on gas. Can't complain at all. One of the best cars I've ever did on fuel economy terms. Pretty good steering wheel, nice to hold, good quality leather. However, like all Toyotas, it puts things in a weird place. Like, okay, you got your cruise control. You've got your radar cruise control. But everything is like an awkward. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, I'm going wrong. Basically, listening to my tunes, I want to increase the volume. I've got to bend my hand like this. Look, how do I bend my hand? Like, how do I literally hold my hand? It doesn't work. Basically, or take your hand off and do that while driving. Down here, you've got your camera view, so basically 360 cam, automatic headlamps, and of course controls the rear tailgate. The materials are really nice. You've got this sort of dark wood down here. I hope it's wood and not plastic dressed as wood. Dark brown. I've been waiting for brown to make a comeback. Chrome, leather. It's all quite tasteful, and the way it keeps your hand just right. Look at the main screen. Same thing again. So this is pretty much your standard Toyota screen that I've seen a lot of cars recently. Very easy to work with. You've got your audio, beep beep beep, and you've got menu, blah blah blah, audio. This has CarPlay, full CarPlay, so you don't actually worry about any of it. And of course, this shows you what a hybrid system is up to. And right now, purely running off the electric motor, not polluting at all. Let's go down. We've got automatic climate control and a second zone on the right. And by the way, no more Toyota clock. No more famous Toyota clock. AC is very strong, really can't complain. The vents are quite beautifully hidden down there. Like, I was looking for the vents and like, oh, they're right here at the lower part of the dash. Blow out tons of cool air. You got a little shelf here that you can basically put a smartphone into. I thought this is a charging point, but it's not. Gear stick down here, of course, all the usual thingamajiggies. Quite nice gear stick, nice to hold. Down here you'll see USB 1, USB 2, and this has my data cable. So everything pretty much covered. Oh, and a 12 volt down here as well. So technically 4 USBs, if you could get that one there. You've got e-brake hold down here. This isn't the best e-brake hold I've ever seen, but it's fine. Driving modes, kind of pointless. I mean, you got sport, normal, eco, but everybody's going to drive this in normal. I drove it in sport. Seems to make no difference whatsoever. Traction control off, again, only really if you're wandering on a beach. EV mode. So this is when you press this, it says EV mode unavailable. Well, what it really does is turn the car into full EV mode. So even at low speeds, it runs in pure electric mode. However, the moment it detects that it needs more power, it'll turn the engine on. So it doesn't really do anything. Trail mode does something for off-road, which again, nobody cares about. Take a quick look at the seats. Really comfortable. They've done a great job with these seats. Cannot complain at all. And check this out. Piece de resistance. I'll do them more grammatically, but I'll show you again. A sliding, rolling cubby hole. In the air, you got space for my sunglasses. A much deeper bin down here, which I hope you can see. So overall, quite a nice cabin. I think really one of the best efforts Toyota has delivered. Feels modern, feels up to date. I like being in this car. I like driving it. And as you're about to find out on the road, I think it's one of the best Toyotas on sale right now. Once in a while, you come across a car that gets it all right. Now, every car I drive has a percentage of right. Maybe 20%, 50%, 70%. And you can kind of see where they fell short. Either they maybe didn't have enough money, or the design team didn't really want to go all the way on execution, or the car company just thought this is good enough for this generation, we don't need to do better. They always fall short. But the Highlander is one of the few cars I think that really goes all the way and gets it right. Let's start with the seating position. I'm super comfortable. I've got a nice armrest down here, good nice steering wheel that comes out enough to meet my long arms. So I've got quite an unusual body, so if I'm comfortable, you're probably going to be comfortable as well. Everything works pretty much, electronics, CarPlay, seamless. And Toyota, so it's going to be pretty much bomb-proof reliability. AC is freezing cold. Granted, it is winter-ish, so it's like 30 degrees, so it's not that hot, but honestly, it's nice. All that's left to do is see what it's like on the road. Now, normally I do like a little off-road thing, but it isn't that kind of car, is it? It's a Highlander. Come on, people. Who are you kidding? This little bump I do off-road, that's all it's gonna be. Now, pardon me here, I will need to do a bit of mild off-roading to get back to the main road, because going the wrong way, so don't yell at me in the comments. But, oh, that moved quite violently. But isn't really designed for traction control as we know it. It feels quite light, this car. What I like about these TNGA platform cars is they feel quite light and nimble and agile. Definitely one of the best overall platforms I've seen, because the steering pretty nice. The car responds well. There isn't a lot of feedback, but who cares? The car feels light on its feet. It rolls in really nicely. It's just so easy to drive. I mean, it does feel light, but it doesn't feel weightless. It just feels that the car is super responsive, and I like that. I like responsive cars that dart and nimble about. Power, it's there, 250 horsepower, but it is reasonably heavy, so it is a hybrid. But it's got more than enough gumption. It's got electric motors, it's got a petrol motor. You're going to be happy with it. It's not an off-road car. not going to lie to you, it's not an off-road car. But it doesn't need to be. It's the RAV4, which I think is one of the best cars Toyotas make. They took that car and they supersized it. They made it a little bit bigger. And it's just so nice to be in this car. Stereo's decent. I mean, what more could you want? If you're doing distances, the old answer was buy a Camry. But for a bit more, you get so much nicer. Just so much more space and comfort and a little bit more height. And again, the off-road stuff is immaterial. What are the things I don't like about it? Well, some of the stuff, unusually for Toyota, is broken. Like this is actually broken. I've been trying to fix it for the last couple of days. But I think this car has been pretty much abused, as test cars are wont to do. I'd like a bit more power. It is a little sluggish sometimes. It has that CVT thing. Let's be honest, CVTs, how do I put this mildly? They drone. And this one's no different. It is a bit of a gruff agricultural engine, so it's never going to sound that nice. So I'd like more power. However, it is reasonably well damped in here. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty well insulated. I don't feel tired after driving around it. And I must point out, the fuel economy is bloody unbelievable. This thing has a quoted range of 800 kilometers, and I've been driving it like my pants are on fire. And it still has 3/4 of a tank left. Honestly, if you are going to buy a car for doing a commute, buy one of these. Stop bothering with like straight petrol engines. Get a hybrid. It's so good on gas. It is so good on gas, and I'm not even trying. If I was trying, I could get 1,000 kilometers out of this car. Honestly, the powertrain is the best thing about it. I know I say it's not that fast, but if you take your performance goggles off, so to speak, it's a really good car. Does it achieve what it set out to do? Yes, I think it does. I think it very much does. It sets out to be a nice, comfortable family car that does great on gas, feels pretty solidly built, handles nicely, and is a Toyota at the end of the day, so you know what you're getting. But what you used to get with Toyotas is missing from this car, which is boredom. This car isn't boring. Like, it's nice to drive. Like, I get out of a drive and I don't go like, oh, I wish my life was over. Like, unfortunately, the Nissan Sunny, which I drove. I mean, that car ticked every box, but just felt kind of sad. This car doesn't. It's also really well equipped. You've got seat heaters, seat coolers, pano sunroof, CarPlay. Only thing it doesn't have is a fridge. I would like a fridge. But other than that, not much to complain about. So again, it kind of takes the fight to bigger cars like a Tahoe or, one of those cars. Like, you could buy a Land Cruiser, but why would you? It's a little bit nicer on the ride department. But other than that, we're talking about degrees here. This is actually pretty compatible. A Land Cruiser is quieter. And a Land Cruiser will go off-road. So that's the thing. But a Land Cruiser is over 200,000 dirhams. So what are you going to do? I think most people will like this. What about the Prado? Prado has off-road ability. Prado is pretty thirsty, pretty old engine. It's a nice enough car to drive, but I wouldn't describe it as being my default choice unless I want to go off-road, because it's just too heavy duty for most people. You don't need a Prado. You used to before when it was the only thing in town, but now the Prado has been around for a while. This car, honestly, in my mind, supersedes it. Doesn't quite supersede a Land Cruiser. I'm going to tone back the hyperbole. A Land Cruiser is still a Land Cruiser, paying for a car that's built for 25-year duty cycle. But for most people, this is good enough. I think what this car tells you is that you don't necessarily have to buy Korean either. You don't have to buy a Kia or a Honda to get lots of kit. I mean, it just feels so well equipped. You don't really need to buy one of those cars and they sort of drop in resale value. Power, going to 120, not fast. You see that drone? Foot to the floor. Yep, 120. It's not fast, but I don't care. Like the Mazda CX-5, I think this car's only real rival is CX-5, CX-7. I cannot remember. Please forgive me if a CX-5 is a 7-seater. I think the CX-5 is only like a 5-seater. So it's more of a CX-7. CX-7 is probably a bit cheaper and a little bit nicer to drive. But like Mazda, Toyota has figured out how to make a car that drives nicely and feels nice. And to compare it to my beloved Mazda is, for me, high praise. I still think I'd probably like the Mazda a bit better, but if you like a Toyota, this is the one, man. And again, if you have a Nissan, I don't think anything from Nissan. Pathfinder, ancient history. Mitsubishi, what do they have? Nothing. So, honestly speaking, I think this is the pick of the Toyota litter right now. It feels modern, fresh, up to date. And if I had a family and if I was doing distances, this would be the car I would buy. And on that positive bombshell, on that footnote, let's end. Thanks for watching. Intishan at Motoring Middle East. Follow us Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Leave a comment, even the nasty ones. I do read it and I reply to almost all of them. Thanks for watching. See you next time.